New at 10. The only thing guaranteed in life is death. For many of us, when we pass, family will be around us. But for some, that is not an option.
And that's where the No One Dies Alone program comes in. A program that began years ago and is still for the most part active at local hospitals. I found out more about it and why volunteers are also needed. It began in 2001 in Eugene, Oregon. A nurse was working the overnight shift and a frail man would likely pass that evening. That man asked her, "Will you stay with me?" She said, "Sure, as soon as I check my other patients." But sadly, that man died before the nurse could come back, which is why she started the No One Dies Alone program, or NODA.
We kind of hold dying at a distance in our culture in a way that our grandparents didn't know.
Chaplain Marshall Scott says NODA began at St. Luke's Health System in 2009.
We're all going to expect to face this. It is a time when people appreciate knowing that they're loved, knowing that someone cares.
When you're born into this world, you're welcomed by a room full of people. It's the same concept for NODA. When you leave this world, there should be people with you. Nurses and other hospital staff help identify a patient who has no one, or family members who will have to travel to be by their bedside. Then they reach out to volunteers like Lori Hill.
When we think of end of life, we are surrounded by family and friends, and to have that did not seem right.
St. Luke says about 12 to 15 people every year have no one who can be with them when they die. The University of Kansas Hospital tells KCTV5 that last year they had 16 patients. A NODA volunteer is a calming presence.
We try to make the patient as comfortable as possible. We have music that we play for them. We read to them. We talk to them. Just anything that makes them more comfortable.
But finding volunteers can be difficult.
People who have the time to volunteer often are retired folks, and they may be the people who have the most difficulty being out at 2 o'clock in the morning.
It also has to be a good fit.
It's a special person that is willing to simply sit and be present with a person who is dying.
Hill has been present when a few people have passed. She says it's an honor.
When you first go into the room of a patient, they're a patient. They're someone you don't know, but by the time you leave, you feel like you are connected with them. You feel like they've become family.
My sense is the last sense is that sense of having someone with you who cares. Even when the patient is so sedated that we don't trust even their ability to hear. That sense that one is not alone.
And right now, because NODA volunteers are desperately needed, the program at St. Luke's is kind of on hiatus. So if you want to volunteer, you can contact the volunteer coordinator or chaplain and just ask about the program. Volunteers are all given the proper training.
New at 10, several